A very good afternoon to each and every one of you, our honorable VIPs, guests, ladies and gentlemen. Now, on behalf of the FARAD program, I would like to welcome each and every one of you to the road tour of FARAD Cryptoken, revolutionizing the future of innovation itself here at the Mandarin Oriental in Kuala Lumpur. Now, we all have questions about our place in the bigger communal and global ecosystem of our societies, right? Today's keynote sessions hope to empower you, yes, each and every one of you, with the knowledge to take your rightful place in building a greener, cleaner, and more energy efficient and sustainable world for each and every one of us. On that note, I am your MC, Tamina, and I will be with you guiding and helping facilitate the proceedings throughout today. Now, for the general benefit of our guests joining us for the first time today here, allow me to share very briefly with you a little bit about FARAD Cryptoken. Now, FARAD Cryptoken, in case you're wondering, is the first of its kind among cryptocurrencies that exist in the market. Now, what does that mean? Well, the main difference being that FARAD is the first cryptocurrency 100%. I repeat, for impact. FARAD is the first cryptocurrency 100% backed by real economic activity. Now, what might that real economic activity be? You must be asking yourselves, right? Well, that is none other than the production of ultra capacitors within an actual factory setting. So, intriguing? Most definitely. I myself am very interested to be helping with the launch of this exciting program, and I will actually hand over the floor to the experts. But first and foremost, I have the penultimate expert of them all, who is in the house with us right here and right now. On that note, can you please help put your hands together to welcome CEO of FARAD Program, Dr. Wan Muhammad Hasni, to deliver his keynote address. Now, Dr. Wan Hasni will be speaking to us on the proliferation of FARAD. He, of course, holds a doctorate in finance from Iowa, self-described mathematical geek, and he hopes to help normalize Bitcoin for all of you to telling you a little bit more about its tangibility and also the threshold of this ecosystem and the unimaginable opportunities. Dr. Wan, the floor is yours.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good afternoon and salam sejahtera. Saya bercakap dalam bahasa Malaysia sebab kita di Malaysia. Tak apa, Felicia, kita maafkan dia. Dia boleh bercakap dalam bahasa Inggeris. Saya terima kasih kepada semua yang datang dan hadir pada program kita pada hari ini. Ini kali pertama kita buat program secara besar-besaran di Malaysia untuk melancar program FARAD. Dan sebagaimana yang tuan-tuan dan puan-puan tahu, bahawa kita telah war-warkan program ini melalui Facebook, website, dan social media channel yang kita guna pakai. Dan hari ini, tujuan kita ialah untuk menjelaskan secara lebih terperinci apa dia yang kita maksudkan dengan program FARAD. Today, we would like to spend time to explain in details about what FARAD program is all about. FARAD program merupakan satu perkara yang baru, satu perkara yang inovatif. FARAD program is a new program that is new and is innovative. Kerana dia merupakan perkara baru, kita perlu jelaskan dengan secara terperinci dan secara detail. Kerana dengan melalui kefahaman, melalui pendidikan, barulah kita dapat mengerti satu perkara yang baru ini dengan lebih tepat. Kerana banyak berlaku juga kesalahfahaman. terhadap cryptocurrency dan sebagainya. Termasuk juga negative publicity yang berlaku terhadap cryptocurrency dan sebagainya. Tetapi tetap dia merupakan sesuatu yang intriguing, sesuatu yang mencuit hati kita, mencuit pandangan kita. Apakah dia perkara ini? Jadi saya akan cuba jelaskan dalam program hari ini, dan selepas ini kita akan ada sesi soal jawab yang cukup lumayan supaya boleh menjelaskan mana-mana apa yang tersurat, tersirat dalam hati dan fikiran masing-masing untuk mendapat kepahaman terhadap perkara ini. So today we'll make sure that we have enough time to explain, to elaborate, to discuss, and to answer any questions that may intrigue your mind, that you have in your own conscious self about what is all these cryptocurrencies or cryptoken or whatever that people name it, is all about. So as a start, of course, I would like to welcome you all over again, and I would like to officially today welcome you to the FARAD world.
Wow, indeed. Beam me up, Scotty. Now, FARAD, revolutionizing the future of innovation itself. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we are launched at the Mandarin Oriental, Kuala Lumpur. And on that note, what better time than now to introduce the FARAD team to each and every one of you. May I please invite back on stage our CEO, Dr. Wan, as well as Mr. Dave Appleton, Dr. Engineer Aziz Mustafa, Mr. Satria Suto, and Mr. Azli Noor to please grace the stage by joining us on here. Ladies and gentlemen, here you see with us our experts as well as our backers who are here to share with you anything and everything and all questions which you may have about FARAD and cryptocurrency. So on that note, I hand the floor back to Dr. Wan because he will be giving us a more in-depth talk and introduction to everything you just witnessed in that amazing launch video. Take it away, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen. So, selamat petang, selamat tengah hari, Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera. Apa yang saya akan cuba sampaikan pada hari ini untuk menjelaskan ya, suatu inovasi yang baru yang kita namakan sebagai FARAD program. Pertama sekali, bagaimana kita mendapat nama FARAD? Bagaimana kita memilih nama FARAD? FARAD sebenarnya ialah suatu honor yang kita berikan kepada Michael Faraday. Dan Michael Faraday ialah merupakan salah satu daripada ikon dalam dunia electrical and electrochemical dan sebagainya. Sebagai satu engineer, sebagai satu innovator yang ulung. Dan beliau dilahirkan pada 22 September 1971 dan wafat meninggal pada tanggal 25 Ogos 1867. Dan FARAD atau Faraday adalah merupakan salah satu daripada pencipta ataupun innovator yang ulung. Dan beliau sebagaimana dinyatakan oleh Ernest Rutherford, American physicist, when we consider the magnitude and extent of his discoveries and their influence on the progress of science and of industry, there is no honor too great to pay to the memory of Faraday, one of the greatest scientific discoverers of all time. Dan kita akan bicarakan tentang Michael Faraday ini hari. Next. Sebelum kita pergi lebih panjang berkenaan dengan FARAD program. Dan FARAD dinyatakan sebagai suatu yang diasaskan kepada economic activity atau berdasarkan kepada sesuatu yang ada fundamental ekonomi ataupun economic fundamental. Dan fundamental kita ialah kepada suatu industri. Industri yang dinamakan sebagai energy storage dan secara khususnya kita akan bersandarkan kepada suatu produk, suatu teknologi yang dinamakan sebagai ultra atau ultra capacitor. Cuba kita lihat terlebih dahulu tentang pasaran energy storage. Kalau kita lihat sekarang ini ada lebih kurang 1.2 juta kereta atau vehicles dalam dunia. Kereta merupakan satu daripada penyimpan tenaga atau energy storage kerana dalam kereta ada fuel storage dan juga bateri. Kalau kita lihat internet users, ada 3.7 billion internet users pada hari ini. Dan juga kalau mobile phones, 5 billion pengguna. Dan kalau kita pergi kepada sorry. Yeah, so they prompt me to speak in English. So let me just ask, would the audience prefer me to speak in English or mix English and Malay, or which one? Because I can speak all except in German. English? Prefer English? Okay, I have no problem about that. Yeah, but question and answers later can come also in Malay as well. But those need a bit of explanation, then please ask me later, okay? Okay, so let me go back to English. And I can speak in Arabic too. So anyhow, there's the number of cars we know today, there's 1.2 billion cars in the world. And internet users, 3.7 billion. Mobile phone users, 5 billion. And many handheld devices. We're talking about the numbers going to 7 billion. And I just pick these numbers just to show the sheer numbers of things that use energy storage. And remember that these numbers are growing yearly by leaps and bounds. 20%, 30%, God knows what will be the numbers as we go along. And all of them rely on one fundamental thing that is called energy storage equipment, devices, or whatever. Now, what's the problem with energy storage? The problem of energy storage is about one, is example, charging time. We all know that it takes a long time to charge our phones. Yeah? Some of these phones may need about 30 minutes, 1 hour, 45 minutes, whatever. Some others need more. And in the case of EV, electric cars, normal charging time, like case of Tesla, is about 4 hours minimum to get a full charge, that is. So charging time is a problem. And we are all on the go. We need to move fast and whatever. So we have some problems in regard to charging times. And the other part is the lifetime or the age of the battery, or how long it can last. Well, for the most of the, let's say, lithium-ion batteries that you have in your phone, the maximum number of charging should be 300,000. That's the maximum. Some will go lower. You buy from some of the cheap one, maybe even 50,000 times. So 3,000 times of charging. Then after that, it's kaput. No more. And sometimes you even see the batteries starting to be lower and lower in terms of the capabilities. So there's a problem of charging times. The other part is, of course, lack of power. It doesn't have enough power to do certain things. Why the CPU of the phones are not too strong? Because of not enough power. If you put a strong CPU, then your phones will be kaput in shorter time, and so on. So there is always a fight or tussle between energy storage and the usage of the devices. And of course, ampere is another thing when it comes to cars and other heavy usage of energy storage. And of course, the normal source is electricity, plug in and whatever, right? So that's among the problems of energy storage. Now, so the issue is, what's been lacking in the energy storage? Well, what's been lacking is what is termed as ultra-capacitors. Okay, ultra-capacitors is not new if you think about it, because capacitors has been in existence for a long time. Even our earliest radio, our grandma used to use, made a lot of capacitors. But what is then this something called ultra-capacitors? And in this case, we're talking about a specific way of making capacitors that has ultra or super capabilities. And in the case of what we're talking about specifically, today, we're talking about ultra capacitors that can, one example, solve the charging time, 10 minutes or less. Yeah? And of course, in mobile phones, maybe it can be a minute or two, depending on how we configure the methods of doing that. Another part is the life cycle of the batteries combined with ultra-capacitors. You prolong the life of batteries. Okay, you don't want to drive all the battery makers out of the market, but you might do that by doing this, because now you're talking about 3 million, 10 more times at least, on charging times. And therefore it prolongs the lifetime of the equipment. And of course, you can deal a lot more with a lot higher voltages and amperes, which means the applications can be a lot more varied. And that's very important in the case of, let's say, electric vehicle as an example. And of course, the source of energy can also vary, meaning that you can do a lot of other things. For example, from heat can be driven to ultra-capacitors, rebraking energy, wind, and whatever other applications, solar and so on, can be used more efficiently if you have ultra-capacitors. Okay. Now, let's talk about the future a bit. In the case of China, for example, by 2020, about 20% of the vehicles must be electric vehicle. And to do that without ultra-capacitors that can function very well, then it's not an easy feat. So you can imagine an example of the usage. And I don't know how many cars in China now, but I'm sure that like some of them are producing 2 million vehicles a year. So like Nanjing automobiles are producing about 2 million a year. 20% means 200,000 all electric vehicles coming from Nanjing automobile alone. And you have all other automobiles, Shanghai automobile and so on in China. Geely, the one who bought Proton, is also there. So 20% of that. That means a lot of ultra capacitors are needed to come along with these EVs. Because why? A simple example, as I said, the charging time. Now, the charging time may be 4 hours. With ultra capacitors, you can possibly achieve a shorter charging time. That's one. The other one is, of course, the battery itself will last longer and hopefully lighter. And therefore, that also will bring the economics part of the EV manufacturing into what we call it economically, affordable, yeah, to people. Because otherwise Tesla, nobody can buy Tesla. I mean, not all people can buy Tesla today. It's expensive. It becomes a premium item. Yeah? So that's a simple example of use of ultra capacitors that we plan to produce. Now, the other part is the future power supplies. Now, there's a lot of talk today in places like Indonesia, as an example, in many places that have a lot of dispersion of location and people. Africa, as an example, where people are living in different places. So there is a new concept of having what we call it the power grid that are distributed, no longer centralized power generation. And the grid is more localized. So in other words, I use the word P2P power distribution, peer-to-peer. It's true, it's happening. Indonesia is planning for that. In fact, when I talked to Indonesian authorities, they told me a lot of their plan for that, using solar, using wind, using whatever renewable energy. But those can only be implemented well with cost if they have the right ultra capacitors to back up the energy storage. Because why? Yeah, there's a lot of electrical stuff that we have to talk about, but that's what it is. And it has to be economically viable. You cannot have ultra capacitors that are expensive, batteries that are expensive, and not capable of doing the power storage that you need. And when that can happen, then you can imagine ultra capacitors' role in that kind of industry. And the biggest thing of all is IoT, Internet of Things. I'm not sure everybody understood what Internet of Things, but Internet of Things are basically devices that will be 24/7 on, 365 days a year, never off, always functional, and it will have certain functions that is being called upon that device to play. And those require sometimes a sudden burst of energy, or sometimes sudden input of energy. And it cannot be off. It must be on all the time. And clearly, ultra capacitors is needed in IoT devices when it comes to energy storage, energy capture, and so on. And I will talk a bit more about technology down the road, about how that is possible. Because technologically, a lot of things being developed, and a lot of things are able and capable now, but need to be brought to the industry, to the market, in the right way, in the most economical way. Well, in terms of applications, we can talk a lot more, but I presume that by now, you could have a better idea about what are other possibilities. When it comes to UPS, the uninterrupted power supply, when we can talk about defense sector, we can talk about the large range of transportation sector. Yeah? An example would be aeroplanes. Aeroplanes deal a lot with energy storage as well, and so on, and so forth. Yeah? Oops, sorry. Now, let's talk specifically about the technology that FARAD is bringing forward. Now, the specific technology that we're dealing with is a metal oxide ultra capacitors. And when I talk about metal oxides, we are dealing with mainly 4 different materials. And the first one being ruthenium, a rare metal, nickel, okay, nickel is well understood, titanium, all of this ruthenium and nickel must be in oxides form, titanium of course in titanium form, and tantalum. Tantalum is a rare earth material. Now, ruthenium is an example, is a very rare metal, only 12 million tons a year being produced globally. Well, today it's being used, some of them, to make rings, because it's platinum group metals, PGM. And nickel, of course, is well understood, quite widely available. Titanium is the same, but expensive. And tantalum. Tantalum is not a metal, it's a rare earth. Rare earth is another element, there's a lot of elements in the earth. Yeah? And that's also quite rare and hard to get by, but it's available. Now, why we are using all these strange name metals, rare earth, or whatever? The most important thing is any material to be used to store electrical charges is like sponge. A sponge must be strong enough to absorb whatever water. And of course, you like a sponge that are super sponge, very thin, but absorb a lot of water. So these materials are known in the industry, in the research, to be able to hold large amount of electrical charges and be able to intake and dispose charges very fast. So that's why we use them. And this came out not from something that I discovered yesterday. The discoveries of these issues came back almost in the early 80s, then being developed further throughout the 80s to the 90s, and also throughout the year 2000s, being researched and developed. And that's why, when it comes to the patents, we have more than 28 patents that are coming along from very early time to today. And all these 28 patents from the US, from Taiwan, and from China are all encapsulated now within the company called Aerospace Beidou New Technology in Hong Kong, where of course I'm involved, and of course we have a full team involved there. So these are the holder of the property rights, intellectual property rights, the patents. And patent is not enough, honestly. There's a lot more surrounding these patents, or we call it intellectual properties, that are involved. It's not only just you must know the materials, but also you must know how to apply them, how to sinter them, and so on and so forth in the process. And to do that, we established our factory in Guangxi province, in the city called Wuzhou, in China. And why we choose China? There's a lot of reasons. Most of electronics manufacturing now are in China. That's number one. Number two, we also get a lot of support from Chinese government in terms of grants and others. In fact, we already received approval from Chinese government for more than $30 million in grants. Because to show that also Chinese government are comfortable with our technology, our patents, and our what we're to do. And of course, it's part of the China program to develop what I said just now, electric vehicles and others. And of course, China has among the best when it comes to the cost of manufacturing, and also the raw materials are quite abundantly available in China. So that's why we do it in China. Otherwise, maybe we do it in Malaysia, we do it in Dubai or whatever, but that's a fact of life. China is the place to be for manufacturing these days. You can see the details of this in aerobeidou.com. And just to inform you, because some people ask me, who's the inventor, the original and the real inventor of this? In the website, you'll see one name. One name, Professor Casey Tsai. He's a Taiwanese American. He works with Lawrence Livermore and NASA Labs long time. He's the real and original inventor of this. He's 90 years old. I asked him, Professor Tsai, can you come with me on the Roadshow? He said, I'm 90 years old. My back is definitely not strong enough to even get on most aeroplanes these days. But he's there with us. He still guides us. He's still involved with us. And he will continue to involve with us. But we do have other experts also that's involved with us. And in the case of experts, basically, we are talking to other industrialists, other people in the industry. An example that we are working in terms of technology to advance a bit more is graphene. And those who understand ultra-capacitors will understand why graphene is important. And we also talk to Rimac Automobile. Those of you know Concept One, those who know Top Gear, whatever, will understand whose Rimac is. Mate Rimac is a young chap. I've been working closely with Mate for a long time, since 2012. And Rimac has produced the best supercar in an EV now. It's 2 megawatt car, not 2,000 horsepower, 2 megawatt car that crashed recently with one of those Top Gear guys. But the key issue is not so much about to build Concept One, because Rimac have the technology how to develop the PMS, the BMS and PMS, battery management system and power management system. And we have discussed about how to then take this technology using ultra-capacitors that we're going to develop further that can be applied to design what we call it an EV that are economical. And just imagine, as an example, we are thinking, and I talked this to Mate some time back. In Indonesia, there's a lot of microlets, a lot of tuk-tuk. In Jakarta, the same. it's easy for us to just retrofit all of this. Can remove all these things, become cheaper, economical, as well as less pollution and so on. And we should do that, I told Mate. It's important for us to do this kind of thing. Yeah? Okay, concept one is a concept, it's an idea. But this idea, since we can apply it in a very high end, can easily be scaled down to a smaller end. But to scale down to smaller end, what's needed is a good PMS, power management system, and BMS, battery management system, and that must use ultra capacitors. So the key issue is which ultra capacitor to use and to be developed. So that's discussion been going on between me and Mate and our team for quite a while. And the other part is American Maglev. American Maglev Technologies is Tony Morris, who was there with me in Dubai. Yeah. So American Maglev been developing a lot of ultra capacitors for trains, buses, and other things. And in fact, there's a lot of innovation being done by Tony and his team, great team over there. In fact, they have developed another one, they told me just now. They have recently developed what we call it simple hydro system based on eddy currents. Those who understand electric a bit, eddy current means just like longkang, air longkang berjalan. Yeah? Very slow current. And you can develop electricity out of that. And that can be applied well if we have ultra capacitors to take in all this spurt of charges coming in and so on. So the key issue is, I'm not trying to say that ultra capacitors are so great, but it is what's being missing to make sure that some of these things can be applied economically. Yeah? So we are working with American Maglev technology, Mr. Tony Morris as well. So a lot of development that we are moving forward, yeah, besides inside China, but we're also talking about at the international level. Yeah. Now, let me skip the pattern. So the factory is in Roadshow. Mr. Satria is involved in charge of this building this factory. This is as of August. We are moving all our staff from UTC from Taiwan to this factory to start immediately production in October, to do a trial production in October. And of course, we are moving on, and we have a planned schedule that got most of the things to be to be on full running by 1st January 2018. So it's already there, pretty much, and we are moving on doing this. And this is on a big facility, as you can see. The physical part is being done. Now we have to fill in all the soft part about it. And this is important to show because that will come back when we talk about FARAD later on, why this factory is important. Now, people ask me, is this the only factory? Well, this is the only factory for now. As we grow, maybe more factories will be built. We don't know. Maybe more factories in somewhere else too. We don't know. But that's what it is now. There's a few pictures of the factory. And people ask me, can we visit this factory? Of course you can visit this factory when it's ready. But please don't go there and don't ask for proper permission, because remember, this is a high-tech facility. And a lot of things, even behind there, a lot of samples. And I'm worried that people will steal the sample, try to go back home and start to crack them. Yeah? It is a PNC, it is patented, it is intellectual property. It's not a joke. It's not something that you can just play with. And it's technology. Otherwise, the technology looks very cheap. You can just play with it. It's really high-end technology. But is it explosive? No. Is it radiative? No. Yeah? Because the process is basically safe process. And we have a lot of ISOs and things being done before about this thing. Anyhow, yeah. All right, these are the products, quick one. And there's samples behind there. But the most important thing is, these are small devices. You can go at the back and look later. Small devices, just only the size of my thumb and very thin. And that's why I've been saying that what we're producing is the thinnest among the thin, if any, for ultra capacitors, smallest among the small of ultra capacitors, if any. That one, we can claim that we are the only one today worldwide that can produce that. And that's important because, as I said, ultra capacitors, we are not alone, but we know what our capabilities are. And when we talk about IoT devices and others, small, thin, and others becomes extremely, extremely important. And remember, small with power, small with capacity, or small with high capacitance. What's most important is not the size, the capacitance that matters, and performance. And people ask me about performance. Many questions come in the various talk about performance. Well, when it comes to performance, when it comes to electrics, you have to understand it's not just simply the farad part, but also the coulomb, the ampere, and so on, the resistance, and so many other things to be applied. And it's not simply just one fits all like the AA battery. People think that, oh, ultra capacitor just look like AA battery. You can plug in your torchlight, you can do it. No, it has to be programmed. Chips has to be added, and so on, because control is important. That's why I use the word power management system for the car, battery management system, and so on, because it needs to be programmed. And the beautiful part about electricity these days, you can program. If those who knows, you can program that. Chips are designed, ASIC chips are designed, and so on, to program. Yeah? So you need to program for fitting for different applications. And that's important. It's not just simply go to your phone and start to plug them in, then voila. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. Please. Yeah? Okay. So many small ones and behind there. And this is the biggest one that we have. But one thing that why I want to show this one, because one other thing that we have in our ultra capacitors is what we call it the stack capability. You can stack it up. Stack design is, for those who understand, is very important. And to be stacked in a square form, in block form, in this manner, is very important because space and weight. Because weight and space ratio also important against the capacity. Then only you can apply to the usage. So that's also another capability that we have. So far, others do not have exact capability as what we have. Our best competitor out there is Maxwell Industries. You can check in the website, Maxwell Industries, ultra capacitors is there. All come in round form, just like our AA battery, carbide batteries, because they're carbon-based. There are also, of course, another set of new things for ultra capacitors come from purely graphene. We know them. They're from MIT, another one from Germany, and so on. But graphene, as it is today, is extremely expensive. Extremely expensive. Yeah? And yet to be proven when it comes to stacking and so on. We don't know yet. But maybe they will come sooner or later. Now, at the back there, if someone can bring to me the example from the car booster, from the back there, we have a car booster. This is what I call it a teaser. It's not the end product. It's just a teaser to prove what the product is capable of. And so we come up with, let's say, a simple product for public to understand, to show the capabilities of ultra capacitors. And the ladies is going to bring to me. And let me show you these pictures from our test. Yeah, we did this lab in our lab in Taiwan, UTC. You see on the top level there, the green graphs, it shows the voltage of your car performance. Thank you very much. Yeah, and this is exactly the product we talk about. So simple. Inside here, there's two of these cells. Two or one? One, sorry, there's an engineer down there. I'm just a parrot up here. So with one of these only inside here, and what it can do. This example of the voltage. You can see the top level and the low level. Those young people who have a Harman stereo in their car will know what does it mean from the top one to the lower one. Your speaker will be perfect sound, no hissing, no whatever, and so on, no vibration and so on, because your voltage now becomes stable. Now, that's easy enough to understand when it comes to stereo, right? Sorry, okay. Okay, maybe for the young people, they're interested in the stereos. But for me, what's more important is to see this. The power of the spark plug. What happened to your spark plugs in the car? You can see that on the left, from your side, is without our ultra. This is from our test on real ultra capacitors that we have and come from exactly this device, yeah? And we've done a lot of tests on this one. You can see on the left was the strength of the spark. You see on the right was the strength of the spark. And consistency of that spark is also important. But what does it mean? To those who are automotive engineers will understand immediately. It will clean the spark plug, it will clean the engine, it will reduce the emissions, and so on. So there you go. We did a lot. Oh, sorry, it's a bit. Yeah. We did a lot of tests in Taiwan through our lab. Thousands of kilometers of testing with, we say, slightly old cars, 2014, 2015, and so on. At the bottom, it's important, but I cannot show it here, but you can check later on, what is it? At the bottom was the fuel savings. 15%, 25%, 20%, 17%, and so on. Now people ask me, can you guarantee that? I say, I cannot guarantee because it depends on the car. But the function is clear. When you have a strong voltage, then the strength of the car improves with less fuel. Because what happened is a lot of hydrocarbon being wasted in the exhaust. You don't burn complete burning. And actually, if you know very well automotive, it's only 55%, 65% being burned. The rest are going out. And of course, you have also high CO, carbon monoxide, NOx, PM, particulate matter, all sort of pollution. We have done a lot of tests. Simple thing like this can do wonders. Yeah. Well, we cannot promise every wonder, but surely this straightforward, simple, understandable to everyone what the wonders are. And this is not our main product. This is not what we're after. I would say that this is the toy that we produce, just to prove how the capability and the usage and the strength of ultra capacitors. Then come the questions. In Thailand, people ask me, Dr. Wan, can I become an agent for this? First of all, let's talk about what's the cost. Because somebody else will produce. Cobra have something like this, and many others have something like this. Well, I can bet with you, and any one of our competitors, we can beat the hell out of their cost. That's all. Yeah. So just imagine for yourself, check in the market what that cost is. What's retail price they're selling. Because we know exactly what we're doing, we know our cost. Of course, we cannot tell exactly to the public. That's our secret. But that's my promise, clear. You can well beat everyone as our competitors in the market when it comes to the cost. And of course, the performance, well, there you go. Now, this is another thing that we are working on. It's not a done deal. Please don't misunderstood me. It's not a done deal. We have done a lot of testing on the battery, cell phone batteries. And there you go. The smallest one, the thinnest one. And you can see here, what we did basically is to just test this by strapping them to the batteries. Of course, you cannot do this way. When the real one, you have to strap it proper and you have to do all the circuitry proper because you do not want to damage this small thin thing. But see what will happen. Just simply by that, fast charging is achieved. And in some of the tests, we can even achieve less than a minute. Battery life definitely extended. Performance improvement in terms of reception. Your signals and so on will improve. And this basically is easy. Honestly, easy when it comes to in terms of application, but require a bit of work with the battery makers, with all other phone makers and so on, because we got to make sure approve and test and so on, because we don't want Note 7 problems. Suddenly we introduce the market, suddenly Note 7 problem comes. The problem comes from the battery, not from ultra capacitors. Please understand that. Because the overheating comes from battery, not from ultra capacitors. Yeah? Understand that. So that's why we have to work with the battery makers to come with a proper way and to control the electronics and so on and so forth. But it's almost there. And we hope that within less than a year, it's there already in the market. Yeah? Okay. The future. That car is, of course, concept one from Mate Rimac. That's a battery management system from Mate. We know how to deal with this. So surely ultra capacitors will come into this kind of application solutions. And of course, as I said, it can be applied to tuk-tuk and others. But just talk about the lower one, just to show the true strength of ultra capacitors. With ultra capacitors, those electronics will know and will understand that you can extend these drones by at least a couple more hours, at least. You can even more than that if you do it correctly. Though, just imagine when it comes to the, of course I'm not interested in defense, I'm interested in proving the concept. But drones actually has a lot more applications in agriculture, in many other things. Even now we take pictures using drones, right? With cameras up there and so on. So drones is going to be another application. That's aviation, that's aerospace in many ways, yeah? Because to be exact, the ultra capacitor is being used a lot for the space shuttle and so on by now. Yeah? So drones going to be something that is also important in aviation. So the end is far and wide, as I said, from the smallest to the smallest, and the largest to the largest, the thinnest to the thinnest, and so on and so forth. Okay, enough of ultra capacitors, right? Or do you want more? I'm not an engineer. I can just explain what my engineers told me and explained to me, and my scientists explained to me and told me. Okay, so let's talk about FARAD, because that's another technology that we talk about. So what is it? Well, first of all, I want to put this page. This page is not about blockchain, it's not about anything else. It's about economics. To set an economic value. To set a thinking that will put an economic reference. Because actually in economics, everything started with what we call it a reference. Money is actually a unit of account or measurement. As George Simmel, one of the philosophers about money, talks about money actually can be used anything. You can use shells, you can use rocks, you can use stones, you can use whatever, because actually what you want is to have a common unit of measurement. That's all. That's the first fundamental functions of money. And that's why, before I go further, I want to make sure that when we talk about all over here, about economic fundamentals, left, right, here, and so on, sometimes I was wondering what people will understand. This is what it is. That is, when the FARAD, as a cryptocurrency or whatever you want to call it, is actually being measured first to the electrical measurement. That is millifarad. And, or reference, not measured, reference to, and to start with is reference to some numbers in the fiat currency. So I use dollars. But will it continue to be this way? No, it will go by its own life afterward. It's just to create, it's genesis. In the Bitcoin or whatever being used, the word genesis is the starting point. Yeah? And that's what it is. So let's explain a bit more what is the whole thing FARAD is all about. Well, first of all, I would just to go to this statement here. It's a cryptocurrency within the blockchain, in this case, Ethereum blockchain system. And each FARAD is representing to some economic value based on this kind of formula done by the manufacturing of the ultra capacitors in China over the next 36 months. This is a precise definition. But let's talk a bit quickly about what is cryptoken, what is cryptocurrency, because many people may have different understanding of different meaning of that. Well, first of all, blockchain and cryptocurrency is nothing more than a set of codes, set of computer codes. I would say like more of a set of robots running on various computers throughout the world, various nodes throughout the world, running these codes to do certain functions being written by the codes. So it is actually, first of all, mathematics. Second is computing. Don't misunderstand more than that. Actually, there's a basic core of blockchain, cryptocurrency, or whatever you want to call it, ecosystem, is based on that. Well, what I like is because it's mathematics. Okay, some of you may not like mathematics. I love mathematics. Well, some people say I'm a geek in mathematics. Maybe, I don't know. But I love mathematics because mathematics is precision. When fx equal to y is nothing else. You can put some errors to it, but still it is exact. So that's blockchain system. And we'll go more about it. What do we mean by all this system that we talk about? And that's what it is. And I need to explain this a bit more because the whole ecosystem that we're doing here is about how to link programmatically from the manufacturing to the blockchain system and from the blockchain system into the tokens that have been created or the codes generated out of the blockchain system. And that's what it is. And why we choose Ethereum in particular, because Ethereum ecosystem or Ethereum blockchain systems have one particular functions called smart contracts. Okay? I'm not against Bitcoin. It's just that Ethereum have smart contract functions. And smart contract is very important within the blockchain systems because what smart contract does is basically to code the promises, to code whatever functions, whatever things that you plan to do or want to do or supposed to do. An example of smart contract in my simple language is your mobile phone. You put on 5 a.m. wake up, right? And you can ask your wife, that's what I did all the time, to also wake me up at 5. Which one I rely more? That surely at 5 exactly will wake me up. Whether I wake up or not, another story, right? Mobile phones. Because it's a smart contract. I do a smart contract with mobile phone, 5 a.m., done, sure. It will not fail me unless the battery went off, right? My wife may wake me up slightly earlier, most likely, because she's worried about 5 a.m. She will wake me up at 4:45. But that's not good, because that's not 5 o'clock. And if after 5 o'clock, it's not good. So that's in the simplest form smart contract, because smart contract is a code that's going to self-execute. And once we code it, nobody can alter it anymore. Nobody can come, oh, no, I disagree on that, I want to change. No. Once it is published as a public code, nothing can be changed anymore. That's why it's called contract. Means I oblige myself, or whoever do that oblige themselves to this system. That's what it is. And that is linked to the token, or cryptoken we call it, in a smart contract. And that's it. There's no magical about it, nothing more magical about it. Of course, to do it, how to do it, yeah, you have to ask programmers more, and so on and so forth. And that's basically the innovation within the blockchain. And in this innovation, we link exactly the FARAD generator box, which is basically the manufacturing of the ultra capacitor itself. Okay, details, we can deal with it later. Now, in the real world contract, that's what it means. Because there is another real world mapping to the smart contract that has to happen. Yeah? There you go. There's a company, the FARAD company in Hong Kong, and Hong Kong Aerobedu, and the manufacturer, and so on. Yeah? Okay, you can see this all in the website and others. Yeah? Now, I would like to go more about this issue, because I'm not happy with just explaining in the way I explained before. Because I see that many questions keep on coming to me about cryptocurrencies and what they are, and a lot of myths, a lot of fads, a lot of misunderstandings going on about cryptocurrencies. So I would like to come with this Ben Franklin. And Ben Franklin is basically a $100 bill. And there is written, right? This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, signed by Secretary of Treasury of the United States, Federal Reserve, or sorry, Secretary of Treasury of the United States. What it meant? Well, this $100 bill is a contract. A contract between who? Between the US government and anyone holding it. It doesn't have to be American. Anyone can hold $100 bill, right? So you are holding a contract for $100. Otherwise, that piece of paper worth nothing, right? You cannot go and buy food or coffee. So it's a contract. Well, is that contract smart? No. Is that contract clear? Possible. But value is established. Everybody accept that. You go to someone else, doesn't have to be a US citizen, give $100 bill, yeah, I accept. So it's about acceptance. Acceptance comes from where? From trust. I trust this $100 bill. In God we trust, somewhere in the dollar. Yeah, but in dollar we trust. Trust. Money is about trust. Money is not anything else. I mean, okay, I was telling you, let's say you have your bank account says $1 million in your bank, let's say, whatever bank, HSBC, let's say. And you want to go to the bank, say that, oh, I want to see my money. So the bank will print out $1 million balance, right? On a piece of paper. Okay, you believe that or not? You believe because it's coming from your bank. If it comes from me, maybe you say, I just make it up, right? So again, it's a piece of paper. Then, okay, you say to the bank, HSBC, I'm not happy. I want to see my dollar. So you want to jump across the counter, inside, go, and open the vault. What? There's no $100 million inside. I cannot find it. The bank said, no, it's in your computer, in our server. Then you jump to the server and start to open the server. Where's my $1 million? You cannot find it too. Well, all in bits and bytes. That's the truth. So real money today even exists not in the physical form. It's in bits and bytes. Has been like that for a long time, for that matter. Out of, let's say, the whole US dollar, only 3% is in this Ben Franklin form. Only 3% in Ben Franklin form. That means in the physical form. Where's 97% more? Well, it's bits and bytes. So the truth about money has always been, it's been in the digital form. Okay, now. So, what's the difference between the smart contracts to FARAD and that one? Well, it's contracts, belief, trust, whatever has to happen. Then it can have the same status as dollar, of course not exactly, as some value if that happened. And let me go further. Now, in the case of US dollar, it's backed by US government. And let me go further on this. So in the case of Bitcoin, Ethereum, or whatever, FARAD, who are supporting them? The honest truth is nobody except the users. If someone accepts Bitcoin to be valued so much, and everybody has agreed to that value, then there you go. As simple as in the Pacific Ocean, they use seashells to have a value to buy 10 fishes, the same thing. Because if you go back to US government, what is the backing of that dollar bills or whatever dollar they issued? Well, they said, backed by US government. Who's US government? Not Trump for sure. It's the taxpayers of the US. So meaning that it's back to the people again. The 200 odd million people of America are backing that, not Obama, not Trump, not anybody. So it's P2P again. Peer-to-peer again, that's the absolute form of money. So what's cryptocurrencies doing? It's very simple. It's rather than going to the Federal Reserve and whatever complex, what we call it, process, back to the users, peer. You're peer-to-peer. If the peers accept whatever it is, it works. If the peers don't accept, it does not work. So why this whole cryptocurrency revolution coming? Because people may be fed up with the other system or whatever. And they want to go into something that instead of I'm relying on someone telling me the value of this, I would like to rely on my peers telling me the value of this. Correct? That's what cryptocurrency is all about. No, nothing magical about it. And backed by the users. Now, transparency. This is a very important word because a lot of issues may come until regulations. Well, in case of US dollar, I don't know, it's very opaque. But in case of any cryptocurrencies, in particular the Ethereum base, I can vouch for that, it's fully transparent. It's contrary to people believe that all these Bitcoin and whatever currencies are very strange and cannot be seen. It's actually very, very, very transparent. Actually, it's too transparent. So those who want to money laundry, please be careful, huh? True, it's very transparent. Of course, to get it transparent, you need to be a bit more knowledgeable about the system. But it is fully transparent, absolute transparent, because it's clear. Yeah. Number two, once it's transparent, you can do an audit. Anyone can do an audit. It's auditable, fully auditable. Not by the public, not by anyone, but sorry, not by only some authorized auditor, but it can be done by anyone in the real time. Yeah? And that's done on Ethereum blockchain. So again, it's very powerful. And of course, once you can audit, you can account for it, accountability. So these are the strengths that is there within the blockchain system. In particular, smart contracts and Ethereum blockchain systems. Okay. Now, I do not want to go through this long process. I think it's all there in our website, why we're doing ICO and how many tokens we are making available for swapping and so on and so forth. What basically the price of FRD in Ether, in Bitcoin, and so on and so forth. One thing that I must inform that we are dealing only within the cryptocurrency world, meaning that it's basically, if you look very carefully, it's a swap between a token, let's say BTC, Bitcoin, or Ether with FRD. Yeah, must understand that. There's no cash involved. No cash involved. Yeah, that's very important to understand. Okay. And we have the buyback program. And people ask me, what's the buyback all about? Actually, the buyback is actually, I use the word buyback here. It's not really in the old meaning of buyback. Actually, when we talk about tokens, we're talking about burning the token. That's the technical language of it, yeah? So it's basically, the best way to put this one is more like, I don't know, in the old financial language, we can call it maybe insurance program or optional program or whatever, just to provide the stability of the tokens. Because what I found, and I'm not happy with what I saw in the token world, too much volatility. If someone is holding Bitcoin or something, I feel like the heart is going up and down and jumping up and down. Today the price go up, fine. You can go, your heart goes down, calm. Suddenly, go up, sorry. And the price go down, then your heart goes up here. And down and up. Oh, I cannot live that life. It's too much for me. I'm getting old. My heart is not strong enough to face that kind of volatility. So we hope and wish and pray that FARAD will become something that is stable. And it's stable because it has a base. And it's stable because it also have an insurance or options embedded inside it to make sure that if anything happens, that it's not going to be what we call a systemic risk or crisis. That's what it is. Yeah? So don't misunderstand that with something else. Yeah? So we do have that, and that's only going to last for 3 years. Yeah? Okay, the ICOs, dates, whatever, you can see in the website, everything's available. Okay. Yeah. And how we set the price, you can go to our website. Basically, we fix Ether and BTC and so on, because we know that's to FRD conversion, to disallow any more volatilities in regard to FRD. And we accept only BTC and Ether. And I don't want to talk about price. I'm not trying to sell FARAD here. Honestly, if you believe in FARAD, you believe in the ecosystem, then you should do it. If you don't believe, then please don't do it. It's very simple. Yeah? And that's why education is important, understanding is important, and that's why my duty and my job actually is to go worldwide to educate, to make sure people understand. If someone asks me all sort of things, then they say they cannot understand, then I said to them, don't get involved. This is what I call it, please beware. This is not MLM, this is not a money game, this is not anything of that at all. This is about real world, real things. And if you want to get involved, make sure you understand them. Don't understand us. And don't understand us some more. Don't understand us who knows. Please do that. I'm very worried because I do not want misunderstandings. I don't want anybody to be hurt. Because this is a good ecosystem to be developed. But it needs time to develop. It needs to develop well. It's not something that people say, ask me, what's the price of FARAD tomorrow after it's launched? Is it going to be 10 times? I said, please, 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 that's not what I wish. But I cannot control, of course. But that's not what I wish. I wish to develop to make sure the ecosystem grows gradually, hopefully. And how it grows, hopefully it grows together with the energy storage industry, because that's a reference point. Remember I was talking earlier. Yeah? You must have some reference. So that's what I wish. And that's why what I want to talk about, basically, is not about this so-called ICOs, whatever, but more importantly, what's the roadmap? What's the future? What was our vision? Where is supposed to go? We're supposed to head. And you can see that in the beginning, for example, for the first few years or whatever, it's more based on the production itself of the ultra capacitors. That's a benchmark. But my hope is that basically the day will come that it can be used to buy, let's say, any electronics. Because we can have, for example, FARAD Store. You can buy mobile phones using FARAD Store using FRD. What's the problem with that? You can build ecosystem for that. And the most important thing is the growing ecosystems at the bottom there. So people ask me, why are we issuing 1.6 billion FARAD, FRD? My answer is simple. How many users that we want to get involved with FRD ecosystem? How many users? Well, many ICOs being done recently. Some of you in the cryptocurrency may know. EOS, Bancor, Gnosis, whatever. Tell me how many users they have. How many? Anybody? On average, how many users? Most of these ICOs raise 200 million, 300 million, whatever. 20,000, 30,000 users. Come on, that's not an ecosystem. How many users of Bitcoin worldwide today? Anybody can answer? Please? About 2 million to 3 million, based on the wallets. Of course, there are 15 million wallets, but you know, everybody have 3, 4, 5, 10 wallets. It's not great yet. It's not great yet. How many users of US dollar? Few billions, right? So we need to build ecosystem. And that's what's important. And to build ecosystem, you need many people to come on board. I use the word users. I don't use the word investors. I use the word participants, not about how to make money. Please understand that. So I'm not interested about what's the price going to be so that you can sell your token tomorrow and make a buck and become quick rich out of it. Anyone do that, I will shoot him. Not literally, but at least by my words. Because you are destroying ecosystem. In Abu Dhabi, in Dubai the other day, one guy who's talking in the front, he came to me, not my friend actually, one of the big shots. He said, Dr. Wan, I'll put in $150 million. Then I said to him, what? Seriously, I said to him, my friend, my brother, stay in the line. We were shocked. Do you need money? I don't need money. I need to build ecosystem. if I have big shots coming, maybe I'm done already, I'm not need to talk to you all, sweating all over and running all over the world, talking and breaking my back. For what? For what? Because I'm building an ecosystem. That's important. I don't want all these big whales to come into. I don't mind even I call it anchovies or ikan bilis to come in. I welcome ikan bilis. See? What? Am I welcoming ikan bilis that I can eat? No. I want the ikan bilis to become the whole ecosystem. It's important to have small people to get involved. Because why? Just think economically. If we have many users, many participants, the price will be stable. What I'm after is stability. Once it is stable, then people start to imagine. And this is an economist I'm talking about. People can start to imagine what kind of value in FRD this glass should be. No longer thinking what is in dollar, renminbi, euro, whatever, but in FRD. Of course, I hope not glass. I don't have my mobile phones here. If I have then mobile phones. This is the economic power. And that's where the economic should go. And I'm a proponent of that. Big proponent of that. Because why? I'm not comfortable with the current system of the financial system. Of course, I'm not trying to criticize more than that. What I want is alternatives. So that this alternative can work. If the first one is not working, and I don't know how to repair them, honestly, as an economist now I'm talking about, so I hope that the new system can come and gradually can play that function that's supposed to be played. And this is, of course, we can talk about dinar, dirham, whatever, but I don't want to talk about gold anymore. Because to me, it's already come to the stage that we are going even earlier than gold. People will ask me, what is this cryptocurrency all about? Well, my answer is very simple. It's P2P. Then people ask me, what's P2P? Simple. 3,000 years ago, we barter. I have 1 cow, 10 goats. Actually, we are doing that. Even though technology will go far, actually, we are going back to our origins of humanity. That's the power. That's the reason why cryptocurrencies cannot be killed. Because it's going back to essential of human nature. Because humans have a lot of easy ways. I understand what's a cow's worth, at least in terms of meat. I can eat so much. And, okay, 1 cow, 3 goats. Okay, right? 1 cow, 3 goats. I can make the comparison. But now I have a lot of problem. If I want to buy from Amazon books in dollar, in ringgit, I have confusion already. But I can make imagination between 1 cow and 3 goats. That's barter. So cryptocurrency is actually moving people back to think in terms of the value, in terms of utility, the actual use. And that's what FARAD is trying to do. Well, what is it? Is it something that's a done deal? No, it's a pilot. I have to admit that it's a pilot. Nobody have done this. It's a pilot. As economists, I would say it's a pilot project. It's a pilot project based on these technologies that we have. Okay, if somebody will be worried, wow, it's a pilot, something's wrong. No, it's a pilot not on the technology. It's pilot on the people. As an economist, I'm interested on the people. How are people going to react? I can't do that. The only way to get that, basically, have enough users. So I was asking on my team, how many FRD holders or users that we target? Some others will have 20,000, 30,000. My personal target and wish, if I can have 1 million users, that would be great. And that's the reason why I'm going all over the world, to China, to other places. Now we have a lot of hits from Russia. Our websites have 100,000 of hits daily now. It's becoming viral now. Of course, some people get it viral for wrong reasons. Some people think, wow, it's a new money game that we can make money. No, it's not a money game. We are totally not involved in that. It's not our business in that kind of thing. Because why? Because as I said, when you come to blockchain, it's so transparent. So transparent. You cannot play any stupid hanky-panky game at all. Unless you are not on blockchain, that's another story. So that's what we are trying to develop. And I would like to end with this picture, and it's a very important picture. And of course, some may understood it well, some may not understood it, but I try to explain what it is. Let me start from the bottom, Michael Faraday. Michael Faraday, of course, as I said in the beginning, he's the father of part of this energy storage industry. The second picture on the top, Turing, Alan Turing. Some of you might know, some of you may not know. Alan Turing is the father of computer. And he comes with a notion called Turing complete. Turing complete basically is a code that's automata. Something will be done automatic. Smart contract is a Turing complete. Well, that's not enough. Go up higher, ROW complete. Both are economists. ROW complete says that when you have enough assets being generated that can cover all space of risks, then human being agents, economic agents can then ensure that they can price every risk efficiently. So, actually the cryptocurrency world, since it is commoditizing so many things, and in ROW world they call it ROW securities, then it can span the whole type of risk that eventually make the whole market to be complete. So FARAD is only an experiment to improve that. Well, people ask me, Dr. Wan, why not you create also another coin called voltage, ampere, whatever. I said, please, someone do it. I'm not going to do it anymore. I just want to make an impetus. I do not want to be greedy. I'm not interested even to control any market. I'm interested to create this revolution that will change the whole financial industry or world in the right way. Well, I hope the world will accept it. I hope it's proven through FARAD. But I hope also FARAD will generate. Because why? Because FARAD, anybody can copy the codes. It's open, public. Nothing is hidden. Someone can create tomorrow another FARAD trend or whatever. But I love that. I would like to see that. I'm not interested to control everything. We just want to start and create an impetus. And hopefully more will come. The more, the complete we are. The more of Turing complete, the better we are. And that's the whole idea of FARAD. And let me show you this picture, which is bit notes in Bitcoins. And you see there's a lot of those dots coming around, blue dots moving. These are Bitcoin nodes, doing all the confirmation of Bitcoin transactions, mining part. And you see that. Is there a lot of human beings behind it? No. Most of human beings just set it up, it runs. It's like a robot. And just imagine the day will come also, beside those blue dots, we can make another one for FRD. We'll show FRD moving all over the place and so on. It's full of life. That's basically showing what I was telling about Turing complete, going towards it, and hopefully also towards ROW complete. And to me, that's the most important thing. Of course, mathematically, I was thinking to prove this Turing complete and ROW complete. Mathematically, theoretically, I think I should be able to do that. But that's another story of another day. Thank you very much.